DNVR Draft Pod!
Let's go, man.
Let's go. My guys, back from the most beautiful city in America, not named Denver, Colorado?
I mean,
might be a stretch.
Okay, first time out there, I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed the walkability of it. The food was great.
Yeah.
Super Bowl week's just a different beast, so like I got to be there when it's not Super Bowl to truly
That's fair.
get the whole thing.
That's fair.
It was a beast.
I'm sure a Senior Bowl crowd, much different. When you pass through and
Yeah.
from New Orleans, that's way better. But yeah, we are coming to you live above the DNVR bar in downtown Denver, right above the Toyota Lounge.
Yes, sir.
I'm actually
Got the
pretty fired
Toyota
up.
Chat.
We're going to the bar tonight. Watch the Four Nations. Team
DNVR
USA.
bar?
Yeah, that's the bar.
That's
right
sick.
below our feet.
Dang.
Lexi's hockey friends from college
Do you have
are
any
coming to town.
hot Four Nations bets?
I parlayed every bet I made yesterday with the U.S. money line tonight. I also have a future on the U.S. to win it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's like
USA
minus 300.
all the way then.
Yeah, no, I'm all in.
I love it.
Although-
Love some
yeah.
good international hockey.
International anything, really.
True that.
International
True
just
that.
better than national across the board.
True that.
So
True
international football coming soon?
that. Yeah, the International Football League, right. We sadly have to
IFL.
talk about the National Football League, whose season just wrapped. As you guys may know, having just come from the Super Bowl, the big game. And yeah, a game was played as well. It wasn't just you guys doing media stuff.
Backs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Game was played.
and so everyone's doing their scouting lessons from the Super Bowl pods, in the draft world. So we're kind of following suit.
Actually, literally 1 minute ago, lessons the Broncos can learn from the Super Bowl champs. Shout out 9 News.
Exactly. Shout out to those guys. Cliss our guy.
The Clisinator.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Time to get Clizzy up in here.
Lord.
I can go for Clizzy.
So yeah, okay, we're leading into that. Obviously, the Broncos, they do need to beat the Chiefs, and we're all comforted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any sophisticated lessons? Because I have some more broader like headlines. Like, yes, trenches matter. Building a roster inside out, as Bill Parcells has taught us, and Sean Payton knows better than anyone. And then size matters. We all want the guy with the crisp film and this, that, and the other. But then it's really nice when they're announcing the Super Bowl lineups for the announcers to be like, oh, and this is the biggest offensive line in Super Bowl history. Everyone wants that.
Yep. Well, and we were media night, Monday night, they have everybody, like, they walk out, they have a big marching band, they walk up on the stage, and it's that big old left tackle for the Eagles, who's, like, leading the Eagles up there. I think it's, like, Lane Johnson right behind me.
Jordan Mailata.
It's exactly. And you're just like, well, this is literally, like, first guy off the bus. Who do you want? And you see, like, oh, that's who you want leading this team up there. And just over and over and over. And they're so big. Yeah, no, I mean, it's football at the end of the day. And again,
Dang.
it's
Facts.
Had you heard? It is still
Just
football.
now,
It
learning.
is football.
Crazy.
At the end of the day. And so when you get to the playoffs, especially the Super Bowl, like, you have to run the football. Like, that's what it all comes down to. You have your pretty little passing game, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
When you
run the
get to
football.
playoff football, there's so much running of the football, and the big team is able to run the football and stop the run, and that can just make all the difference.
Football, November, December, January. We always talk about that. It's a different beast.
My biggest takeaway is draft Georgia defensive players.
Yeah.
Yeah,
mean,
that's also worked out.
look,
That's worked out.
Every
Yeah, sure.
time we've done these recaps of the actual draft, and you look at the Philadelphia Eagles class, it's up. Here's another Georgia guy. All they did was basically reassemble the best defensive line we've seen in college football over the last, 15 years at least.
Yeah, no, 100%. I
Yep.
mean, there was a heavy Georgia influence.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking about Kirby Smart there. I actually was thinking a little bit about what Jose brought up here in the Toyota chat, where he says astutely, and Jose's a ball knower. He's always in the Toyota chat when we're talking draft. Also, updated picture. Good for you, Jose. Looking
at
sharp,
Jose.
man.
Love it.
Didn't the Broncos win Super Bowl 32 with the lightest O-line in football? And as I'm watching that game, multiple times I thought to myself, this is what people before Super Bowl 32 thought the Packers would do to the Broncos.
Yes.
They thought it would
Yes.
play out just like that. So I think that's a decent point. But, Jose, we should mention a lot of those Shanahan disciples who come directly from that Super Bowl 32 win and what that was able to kind of bring forward in the world of football, those guys have started steering towards more gap heavy, more power, heavier offensive lines. McVay kind of started this.
Yep.
You're seeing it more with the Niners.
Yep.
So I do wonder if size is out. You know, your girl lied to you. Size does matter, guys.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
More breaking news. Crazy today.
That was a lie?
Breaking news.
I'm asking her.
Where's that graphic when you need it? Yeah, I
I'm
don't
right
know.
there with you.
And I do think a bit of a theme of this Broncos season was like, are they a smidge too much of a finesse team?
Yep.
Especially defensively.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, in the running game, too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have Javonte, trying to do his thing like he used to do pre-injury, but he's just not the same like smash mouth type of explosive guy. We saw a lot of Jaleel Bidet gets in the playoffs late too. So it's obvious that fixing the run game is going to be an emphasis for the Broncos and Sean Payton, and that should be one of the biggest lessons learned from the Super Bowl.
Yeah. No, everybody is going to the power gap stuff too. Like that is a trend. And I don't know why this one happened either. Because you always see in the NFL, it's like we're doing this, and then we do the counter to it when the defense figures it out. And this one, so it was the
May
hot
I
thing was
offer
the
a theory?
zone. In a second,
Finish your
So
thought.
everybody
Yes,
goes with
yes.
the
that was rude.
with
I'm
like
sorry.
the zone scheme because again, it's the McVay, Shanahan. Like you pair it with the
LaFleur.
exactly. It's a big bootleg back the other way. But then all those guys, like you said, really did shift to that power in the past like 4 years, maybe 3 years even. And now everybody's doing that.
Yeah.
Everybody's successful at the very least. For the
Yes.
most part.
And I think a lot of it's yet one of the other counters to lighter defenses, more sub packages, and that gap scheme. The zone schemes all aim to move those big D linemen laterally.
Yes.
Take them out of their comfort zone. You're not going north south now. You got to go laterally. You gotta dance with us at what we do best. And also, cut blocks have been eliminated, right?
Right.
So I think
True.
that makes things
Honestly,
harder.
yeah.
But the counter to sub packages is instead of focusing on the front four, that gap scheme's gonna allow us to like with the pulls and stuff, it changes where the gaps are.
Yep.
So all of a sudden, that B and C gap is, would be where the defensive tackle and the defensive end are lining up. But once we move that B and C gap one over,
Yep.
now all of a sudden we get to tangle with a linebacker, with a safety, with a nickel defensive back that was put in that, and now he's got a Quinn Miners coming downhill to get his ass. And that's where I think part of the change has really started from.
It's funny how like these games, like Super Bowls, national titles, big playoff games, it just reminds us of the simple things that make up football. And it really is a simple
Yes.
game at the end of the day.
Yes, it's not rocket science.
No, it is
it's
not.
football, guys.
We
You
make
say
it-
it all the time.
We make it way more complicated than it has
Yes.
to be. NFL coaches and college coaches make it way more complicated than it has to be. Sometimes there's just value in being bigger and blowing guys off the line and then coming downhill, especially when you have a back like Saquon Barkley, who didn't even get going in the Super Bowl, really. But those were where a lot of his 60-plus yard runs came this year. They're pulling outside, trying to get
Yes.
downhill.
Yes.
Saquon gets a head of steam, and if he's got a head of steam in a clear lane, it's over.
Well, and isn't that the Derrick Henry model too?
Yes. Yeah.
Like you're not trying to have Derrick Henry run it up the middle. Usually where he's at his best is get him outside. And then all of a sudden, with a head of steam in space, it's like, oh,
Yep.
I got to tackle
Yes.
this guy?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yep.
That's a problem. And I mean, gosh, it was a theme coming out of that Bills game too. You know,
Sure,
like they kind of
absolutely.
bullied the Broncos up
100%.
front.
Totally.
They just took advantage of speed.
Yeah,
Again, you
100%.
get James Cook, you give him just that tiny bit of daylight, and this is something I want to talk about later, but you give him that tiny bit of daylight, and he's going to take that to the house.
And yeah, it's what Jose's saying. Two things you can't coach: size and speed. Also, I see you, see Todd Ghost,
I have heard of speed coaches.
our guy.
Also, there
They
is a weight
exist.
room. Also, the strength coaches too. But yes, you can't coach.
More breaking news.
Just saying, there are
Crazy.
speed and strength coaches.
Crazy.
So maybe you can coach it a little bit. You can't coach it a lot.
So from a Broncos perspective, a team that
size,
had
not strength, yeah.
9 sacks combined in their 2 meetings against the Chiefs this season.
Yeah.
4 against Mahomes, 5 against Carson Wentz.
Carsey Wentzy.
What's your biggest takeaway from that, from a roster building perspective as it applies to your Denver Broncos? We talked run game, we talked size, we talked size speed, O-line size, D-line that matters, getting blue chip players from the college ranks. I mean, shit, another lesson I'd add to the mix is like you can't win with a terrible left tackle. You just can't. Like that caught up to the Chiefs eventually. Premium positions, right? We talk about that all the time. And if you have a glaring weakness at one of those, you're probably going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know if this is exactly what you're going for, but another big lesson for me is you got to have a mobile quarterback in the NFL now. Jalen Hurts, how he won Super Bowl MVP was because he was able to take advantage of the lanes that were popping up in the passing game and just take off for first downs. That's what won him the MVP, basically. That's what kept the Eagles offense going, even though Saquon Barkley wasn't rolling down a hill, having a crazy game like we were used to seeing this year. So the Broncos have it in Bo Nix. We've seen him run around and make plays.
Big time.
But if you add these pieces, you know, we have a sound left tackle, a really good left tackle in Garrett Bowles. It's clear that Sean Payton's going to continue to build and improve the offensive line. When you combo that with an athletic mobile quarterback, that's how you win those types of games. And on the other side, with the Chiefs, I mean, Patrick Mahomes wasn't doing too much of that. He was trying to win from within the pocket, which he's a pocket passer, but you didn't see, I mean, the pick came on a rollout and stuff, but you didn't see a lot of what you saw from them in previous years when they were winning.
Yeah, that's true. And when he was scrambling, it like really didn't work out.
No.
Guys were dropping passes. He wasn't super accurate. He threw the pick. I mean, it was like an uncomfortable on the move, right?
Yeah.
He was like bailing
Yes.
out of necessity more
Yes.
than out of creating plays.
I go to defensive line. That to me, if you're taking one thing from this game, that's it. It's that the ultimate cheat code in football is just having waves of pass rushers.
Yeah.
I mean, we all heard the stat about like, the Eagles didn't blitz once, and they still got that much pressure. It's like Mahomes doesn't look as good from the pocket. Well, because what do? You drop back. Oh, look, we're getting beat on the edge. Better step up in the pocket. Oh, look, there's 2 more guys on the inside, and I'm just going to get crushed right here. I'm going to give a shout out to our guy, Nick Kendall, with a good tweet. Oh, and I had it all loaded up. There it is. He calls it the campfire theory. If you want to keep the fire rolling, you don't wait till it's died down. You just throw another log on. You just keep it going.
Great
And that
point.
means first round pick, you throw another defensive lineman in there, just keep that thing going. And it's the same thing the 49ers did back in the day too. Just keep
It's
going,
what
keep going.
Denver did in 2015 to win the Super Bowl.
100%.
Yes.
Shane Ray.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Shane Ray, Shaq Barrett. Yep, 100%. Well, much like the campfire theory, we're going to keep this conversation rolling.
Oh, throw a log on it.
On the other side, also some great questions coming in on the Toyota chat. We'll get to all
Hit
of
the
those.
like button.
But first, gotta tell you about our friends at Coors Light.
Here's that.
Right there, baby. You know, it's been tough. It's been tough. I have a hard time choosing chill these days. I have a hard time doing that. I don't know what's going on with
It was easy
me.
to chill on Sunday, though,
no.
brother.
It was. It was really nice. Yes. And you know, there's nothing like being down at the DNVR bar and having a nice
I'm
silver
excited.
bullet. We did that on Tuesday.
Oh.
Yeah, you missed the company meeting,
Yeah, I
slept
did.
through it.
Sure did.
Come on,
That New
Hank.
Orleans trip. You go home, you get all your work done because you're like, oh my God, I just can't do it anymore. And then it's like, oh yeah, today was the second Tuesday.
You chose chill, but you missed out on the silver
much
bullets
chill, maybe.
Too much
that
chill.
were.
I do love those.
Yeah, no matter what life brings you, if it's traveling, if it's moving, if it's the BS of your stupid teams disappointing you. Choose chill, man.
Who?
This winter, and then reach out for a Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door. Visit CoorsLight.com/DNVR, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Henry, Bet365 is the next partnership, so we can talk sports for 60 seconds.
60 seconds.
You were asking me about who. You were saying who?
Yeah. Who disappointed you?
My stupid Italian soccer club.
Again?
AC Milan. Yes.
Again.
Yes. Yes. You get it, Jake. It's never ending with these guys.
all I hear from you.
Yeah. It's never ending.
Are you starting to fade him yet?
I could never, that's
Yeah.
not how I do, Jake.
Okay.
Like,
Fair enough.
You guys are my guys. Kale on the sticks, he's one of my guys. I ride for my fucking guys.
Yeah.
That
That's
is
what
facts.
I do.
That
That's
is
what I
facts.
do.
It's Kale.
Yeah, I ride for my guys.
It's facts. It's facts.
So yeah, I couldn't fade him. It's not in my nature. But they really upset me. That would be a way to deal with said disappointment, though, would be fading them on Bet365. The only place you can use our code DNVR365. The only place you can find our custom bets, and the only place you can sign up right now. $10 minimum deposit, $5 minimum bet, win, lose, or draw. That first $5 bet, boomsies, $100 in bonus bets for you to play with and do as you please. Must be 21 plus, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Log on the fire.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, the Broncos obviously need a running back. They need a tight end. They have other issues, but
I think we could get a little more like athletic, big, and nasty on the O-line too.
absolutely. I think, and I was actually, if we were going through a second round of lessons, all good teams have really good linebackers. Like you look through this group again, and it's year after year. But again,
Really?
like the Commanders, out of nowhere. Guess what? Bobby Wagner was an All-Pro again in the middle of that defense. No wonder they made it to the NFC Championship. And it's every single year. Centers also. You had some really good centers on both sides, and that seems to be a trend as well.
Dude, this is
It's kind of like old school football comes back come the playoffs.
Because that's the thing.
because that's how you win.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real NFL football,
Do you want
right?
to give Zach Bonds $17 million a year, T. Higgins $30 million a year? Where are you getting your return on the investment? Top tier is half price at that position. It's the same thing the Eagles did with Saquon.
Well, it's the same thing that's happened in the NBA. The NFL and the NBA both went through these offensive explosion eras where everybody got smaller and more athletic. And then, like, you got a couple of game changers in both leagues. You know, Jokic obviously has changed everything in the NBA, but
I'm not like that guy.
like basketball right now is a big man's game again, and it's all about size and length and having a dude that can beat you up inside. And it's the same thing in football. Like we're just
Time to
getting
give you a
back to
pause.
basics.
Size and length and beating you up inside.
Damn straight.
It's just frustrating though because the Broncos refuse to invest at that position. For whatever reason, they just continually hit the free agent market. They re-sign some guys every now and then, but I mean,
That's the point Jose's hammered home. ad
100%. I mean,
Yes.
we're entering New York Giants territory where it's like, when's the last time we spent a premium pick on like a linebacker? I guess you could say Drew Sanders, sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, that hasn't
He's
panned
back
out.
outside now.
But exactly, he was drafted as kind of he can play both type of thing. Like, no, you need a look at the 49ers. This is why they've been so good over the last 5 years or so. I mean, obviously a down year, but Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, like those guys are sideline to sideline. Like the Eagles when they won in 2017.
How many guys like that are there in the league though? There's like one Fred Warner in the league.
No,
Yeah,
that's
but
true
there's
too.
Bobby Wagner. There is like there are a couple.
Running backs and linebackers, it's hard to find good ones
Yes,
anymore
it is,
these days. Like the position has been devalued to where it's harder to
and
find
maybe
talent.
that's what happened.
But
Because
the
like
response shouldn't be we're just gonna bargain bin it though.
yeah, no, that's fair. But I think when you go back and look at the running back market in the 2000s, it was like, oh, you have LaDainian Tomlinson, you have Tiki Barber, you have Clinton Portis, you have Priest Holmes, and there was this whole list where every single year there were like a dozen guys running for 1,300 yards, and then the market kind of crashes.
Dang, market crash.
A market crash.
Who can't remember the market crash, the running back market crash of the early
Exactly.
2000s? I mean,
I know, right?
all of I,
but
I
then-
lost my home on that one.
But it
yeah.
also felt like then you get into the 2010s and you just didn't have this depth of running backs who are just providing what they provide consistently. And honestly, maybe some of that is kids just saying, I'm not going to play running back because the market crashed. Like I'm gonna play, but whatever happened, those running backs just didn't exist in the past like decade the way they did when I was a youngster. And so like maybe we're coming back to that, but it does seem like that is kind of a cheat code.
Sidebar, I think NIL single-handedly saving the running back position.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And Jose,
Okay.
great comment. I mean, they used to throw logs on the fire in the linebacker room. I mean, when I grew up, those guys were running around making plays all over the place for the Broncos. It was like a 10-year stretch where we had great linebacker play. You know, they were names to be feared.
It's just always tough to
Those
take
4-3 defenses were built around the backers, no doubt.
Yeah, but the bottom line is you also have you have so many different groups on a team. You have your quarterback fire, you have your running back fire, you have your offensive line fire. And yeah, it's nice to throw a log on the defensive line fire, but also you have fires that are just they don't even exist at other positions.
Yes.
Like there is the tight end fire needs to be built up from scratch.
Right, they're just
thing is
mounds of
done.
ashes.
Yes.
People are walking by like, was there a fire here before?
I know. And so you have this big old first round log and you're like, oh, do I keep this defensive line fire going? Or is it like, do we got to get tight end fire going at some point, but then all of a sudden the defensive line fire goes out. It's really nice when you're the Eagles and you just have no flaws with your team. It's like, yeah, first round pick, we'll just put it on the defensive line.
Cap management.
Well, and that's where I think maybe what's lost in the Eagles build is like they have been able to find supplemental ways to really add. I mean, Zach Bond in free agency, Saquon obviously, Hurts in round 2. You know, like those are all things that really add up.
Stole
And-
AJ Brown.
Well,
Yeah.
Totally.
Mailata is one of the great picks of the last 10
7th
years.
rounder, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. The former rugby guy from Australia. So,
Yeah.
I mean, lots to be learned from that.
So much.
Also, I wish Vance against the Chiefs with the O-line problems they had would have just rushed 4 more often.
True.
Sure.
Because I think that's more of just what's going to do it.
I
That
agree.
was the strength of your team.
Forget the blitzing.
Also, in terms of the assets thing,
Yeah.
comp picks. Like as I love the theory
Building
of like,
around the margins.
if you're losing players to free agency, you should get some sort of compensation. Now, 3rd round pick, 4th, 5th, whatever it might be. But those make a huge difference. Because I think once again this year, the 49ers are set up to have 12 picks in this draft. And
That's
it's
nice.
every year with those guys.
It's nice.
It's like 12 picks, 12 picks, 12 picks. The difference between 12 picks a year and 7 picks a year is massive. And it is so hard to join that group that's getting those comp picks every single year.
It is.
But that's how those rich keep getting richer. And honestly, I think that system might need to be rethought, which is easier to say now when the Broncos aren't reaping the benefits, but
I mean, the
They
good-
might be onto something.
But that's how the good
Yeah.
teams stay good. Like the Eagles get
Totally.
comp picks, the Ravens get comp
Yeah.
picks, like the Niners get comp picks.
throw a log on the fire with your extra 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
One, it's why when you add talent, you're still going to benefit even if they leave town.
Yep.
Because then you're going to get those comp
Yep.
picks to make up for that. And
DJ Jones comes to the Broncos. Oh, look, you get another 4th round pick.
also, if Kyle Shanahan had the coaching record and career Nick Sirianni had, holy shit, the hype would be
Wow.
out of
Be
this
unreal.
world.
That is true.
Buy or sell?
Let's do it,
Let's
man.
buy or sell.
Okay, there's a lot of draft buzz. A lot.
Buzz
So
everywhere.
we're going to buy or
like a
sell
swarm
some
of
of
bees.
draft Twitter. Look at this graphic. Look how great that
Wow.
Oh, you cooked Kale.
Wow.
Oh, this is fantastic.
Oh, it's so good. Shout out to Kale. He's a superstar.
Wow.
So yeah, let's get into it in the order I sent them to you. Kale, we can start with Jalen Walker. So Jalen Walker, the linebacker / edge out of Georgia, really popped this year. And he's highly rated for a lot of people. Dane Brugler had him as the 3rd rated prospect on his board.
That's
Edge
crazy.
2. And so I'm going to ask you guys, buy or sell Jalen Walker as Edge 2 in this class. Also a guy who, you know, if he dropped to the Broncos could maybe serve that linebacker need you guys just expressed so strongly.
Buy. What was my first Super Bowl takeaway? Draft Georgia defenders. It's kind of like pick your flavor between him and Mykel Williams. Mykel Williams is the prototypical, you know, size, speed. You know, he's got all the tangibles. But when you watch Jalen Walker, he's just nasty, man. He's kind of like Nolan Smith, where it's those collisions are freight train
comp.
collisions.
Great comp.
I had that one in my notes too. I still do worry a little bit about the size. And like I do worry about like how exactly they're using him. Where if you just line him up and run him off the edge over and over again, is he really getting home? And I don't think I'm like I decided I'm fine with it, but I do have some of those questions, which is
Sure.
why it's like I'm not sure he's just a lock for edge too.
I mean, he's in the
It's
conversation.
a
at
loaded
least.
class.
It is.
His tape is really interesting. So he's got that thing that I strongly believe in with edge rushers ever since I was probably too low on TJ Watt coming out of Wisconsin. We're like, don't overanalyze the pass rush reps. Those can be developed, but buy into the guys who can do a lot of stuff, who have coverage ability, who can really move sideline to sideline, who have that first step, who have enough power to do the speed to power. And he checks those boxes off like crazy. In fact, it's one of the things that James Pierce, always under the Tennessee edge rusher, always underwhelms me when I'm watching the pass rush stuff. But I'm always so impressed by all the other stuff.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, yeah, if he figures that out, watch out.
Jalen Walker he was in the backfield a lot. He just missed a few opportunities. I think he was tied or close to leading the team in sacks. Him and Michael Williams were no one really had a standout year in terms of numbers for sacks. But Jalen Walker, I love how he plays the run.
Big games against Texas. One of the few I've seen Kelvin Banks give up a pressure or sack on. Bama, he gave Jalen Milroe like some nightmares. And his size will be very interesting how him and Abdul Carter are line up size-wise. Because he strikes me as bigger than Carter. I think they're similarly versatile, similarly explosive on the first step. I think Walker has a lot more power to his game. Which again, the NFL, we just got done talking about, it's a big man's league. It's a power equation. Power matters a lot more than it does in more of the finesse game that is college football. A bit of a one-trick pony right now. Like he's going to beat you with that first step and he's going to get into you and try to bull rush you. Outside of that, I don't know that he's the bendiest and there's not a ton of like to his pass rushing arsenal. But yeah, at the end of the day, after Abdul Carter, it's a lot of kind of bets. James Pierce, Mike Green, Shamar Stewart, Princely
Umana Malin.
Thank you. Nick Scruton, Mikael Williams, Donovan Ezuriak, the Boston College
Yes.
I'm having a moment. My brain's choosing.
I haven't learned that
one yet. Of all those bets, it's probably the safest.
That could be.
So it's like
Draft Georgia players.
highest floor, highest ceiling type thing. So yeah, why not?
I mean, if you like power though, what about like a Nick Scruton? Is that how you say it? Scruton?
I thought it was Scourton, but I have no idea.
I call him Skrr.
Okay, well, not Skrr. Because you watch him too, and it's like, it's some of that similar stuff where it's like maybe the pass rush moves aren't great. Like he has that big rip and all that stuff. But as soon as he's like trying to shoot that inside gap, he's just blowing by guys every single time. And at like 280 whatever pounds, like there's your power.
I don't want to trigger any of us.
Oh, boy.
But he gives me Bradley Chubb vibes.
No, that was my first thought too.
He gives
But then
me Bradley
I kept
Chubb
watching
vibes.
and I was like, every single time he just blows right by this guy whenever he wants to go inside. And then you still see like the rip. You still see that stuff and you develop it a little bit more. I don't know. If you want power, there's some power.
You're like an early Nick Scruton adopter.
Yeah, because this time last year he was in the portal after leaving Purdue, and the Buffs were in on him.
Very noticeable.
He was one of the highest rated portal players this time last year. I mean, he had a great season at Purdue.
Yeah.
Ends up going to A&M. I mean, they've got tons of NIL money, of course, the SEC draw and all that, and he delivered, man. He elevated his stock greatly. He's one of the few examples, you did well entering the portal.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Going back to the Bradley Chubb thing.
Yeah.
Would Bradley Chubb have worked out better if he was just like a 4-3 defensive end? Like if
Yes.
you're asking to do Myles Garrett.
Yes.
And I think that from a Broncos perspective is probably my concern with Scourton, as I'll say his name.
Skrr!
But I do think that there is something there.
Find yourself a stand-up who can stand up.
Find yourself a stand-up who can stand up.
Oh, I can't wait to get into more of these by ourselves. That was a great discussion. We have lots of questions in the Toyota chat popping up. Give us a thumbs up. Come on, like this shit. Buffer, on the other side, bringing it in, I got to tell you about our friends at Toyota. Toyota, like a Toyota truck and SUV kind of the Jalen Walker of
Wow.
right, because they bring that finesse and explosiveness, but it's a high floor, high ceiling equation, and they've got that power game to them, right?
Yep.
Perfect car to get lost in the mountains with. I mean, trucks, SUVs, they've always been part of Toyota's DNA. It's just a safe, beautiful family car. It's like giving one of those hybrid edge linebackers to a defensive coordinator that's not Vance Joseph.
Yep.
Because we know Vance a bit of a mixed bag on those guys.
Tough history.
Yeah, tough history. Not at Toyota, though. Great history. Anyone at DNVR who has a Toyota, they swear by it. They love it. Perfect car to get lost in the mountains in our beautiful state. And of course, they also offer, tons of low and zero emission vehicles. Toyota's just got you covered in every which way. Visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. That's my hood. Toyota, official automotive partner of the NFL and the official vehicle of DNVR. Let's go places, baby. Just like the Broncos in building up this roster. We talked already about the DNVR bar. Big Hank's going to be there tonight.
With Lexi's college hockey team.
Ooh.
Wait, what?
Not the whole team, but they're...
How many lines are going to be available?
I would say, including Lexi, 5 players. So you got at least you got 5.
That's sick.
You got a lineup.
You ready to play goalie? You ready to pad up?
Are you stepping up there?
No, I am not.
Dang.
It's one of those things though, because then you go and you're like, oh wow, what a great pass. So they're like, well, the forecheck. They need to change their forecheck. What are they running? And then you're just like, I don't know what's happening now. I just thought the guy was fast.
Puck knowers. That's amazing. That's the kind of experience you can have at the DNVR bar when you come and check it out. thednvr.com/events. Some great takeovers going on right now. Abs Sweet happening at the end of the month. Rudo, Big E, they are bringing it. And Big E brought Milan Hajduk last time.
Yes.
I think he's got another surprise in store for us now.
Little tease.
You park here, party bus it up, get your drink on the way to the stadium. Sweet experience. It's literally sweet. SWEET, not SUITE. And check it out. DNVR.com/events. Link in the description. QR code right there. Jump on it now. Nuggets takeover going on right now. And for all I know, by the time this reads over, that might be sold out already. So get in on it and do your thing. All right, fellas. Let's keep digging in to the beauty that is these buy or sell graphics from superstar producer Kale Sorbo. Also, look at Jose with the proud owner of a Toyota Prado.
Those things just last forever.
Yep, 100%.
Some say that Prado is how you say proud in Spanish.
Did I mispronounce that?
No.
Oh,
When you say he's proud.
Oh.
Prado, I mean.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Never change, Henry.
Didn't like that one? Nope.
All right. This segment really invented for the man, the myth, the legend, Senior Bowl absolute winner,
Yes.
Toledo's finest, Darius Alexander, pictured here. So I ask you, Toledo's standout defensive lineman, I think he's more of a 3-4 D end.
I can see that.
He could play defensive tackle.
I think you could bump him inside.
He looks like an oversized edge, which is what is great.
He's over 300, if I recall correctly.
6'4", 320 is what I'm
But
saying.
in a draft class that is loaded, absolutely loaded with defensive linemen, do we think he is worthy of a top 40 pick? Are you buying or are you selling on the Toledo product?
I unfortunately am selling. And I really like him. I really, really like him. But
Let's go. Let's
you're
go.
also selling?
I'll give you the
Okay,
argument in a
well,
second.
yeah. I mean, there is a lot to like. Because again, you watch him, you're just like, this guy's doing whatever he wants. And especially, even not just Senior Bowl, but you go back and look at what he did last season. There's a lot of, look like two-gapping where just like grabbing the guy. It's like, I'm going this way, you're going that way. And he's just tossing guys left and right.
The friends of yours who watch the Pitt tape think he's a top 15.
Oh
pick.
my God.
If you watch the Pitt tape,
know
it's
what?
like 5 plays in, you're like, holy,
Yeah.
should we trade up for him?
Yeah.
Like,
Bro, thank you for putting this guy in this because I went back and watched that game.
isn't that fun?
And I remember watching that. This was when I was on delay at the Dallas airport on the way to Shrine Bowl.
Hell yeah.
What a game.
What a game.
He went off. Also, like 50% of his pass rush production came in that game.
And
Yes.
there you go. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what it comes back to for
Yes.
me, where it's like the production just isn't there. 3.5 sacks this year. It's like for all the dominance we've seen,
30th in the MAC in tackles for a loss.
30th in the MAC,
Yeah.
which
The
is
Mid-Atlantic
ridiculous.
Conference, yeah.
And so every time he tosses one of those guys to the side,
4th
you're
on
like,
his team.
you're macking the hell out of that Mac guy, but like, what are you going to do? And to his credit, again, the Pitt tape, the Senior Bowl, there is evidence that he's good. And I really, really like him. I top 40 is just a little too rich for me.
I'm also going to sell, and I'm going to cite this Dane Brugler tweet from this morning.
Oh,
A reminder how loaded this defensive line class is.
there we go.
Look, I literally just brought it up.
Defensive tackles invited to last
We're
year's
like-
combine, 25. Defensive tackles invited to this year's combine, 41.
And that's what it is. There's just so many guys who have been absolute monsters at the Power 5 level. Walter Nolan, Derek Harmon, Deion Walker. Deion Walker of Kentucky, similar deficiencies to Darius Alexander, 4 years younger. Deion Walker,
6-year senior, yes.
Deion
Yeah.
Walker cannot have a Coors Light downstairs at the DNVR
Crazy.
bar.
And he's
he'd hook him up.
massive.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare insinuate that. I knew that was coming. Hank was like, oh, we'll just bring him upstairs, give him a beer. No, illegal.
Take him outside. Take him outside.
Wow.
Do you know what
Deion
recruiting? Could you guess what recruiting class Darius Alexander came out in?
Oh boy.
I have an educated guess.
Do it, do it,
2019.
Oh, this guy.
Wait.
Yeah.
So 2019, 2021, 22, 23. That would be 6th-year senior. Never mind.
I mean, it's the COVID
6 years
years,
ago,
bro.
was 2019 is crazy.
It's the COVID years.
So a few notable guys in that recruiting
oh
class.
boy. This is always fun.
Derek Stingley.
Oh boy.
Wow.
One Bo Nix. Ever heard of him?
Wow, the old man. Yes.
Jaden Daniels.
Yep.
Also
Yep.
in
People
that
forget.
one.
Same class as Bo.
Super Bowl champ Nolan Smith.
Wow.
Tavon Walker, former first overall pick by the
Holy-
Jags.
He was drafted 2 years ago.
Duval. I love my guys. Kayvon Thibodeau. Remember him?
Yeah, I do. He's come and gone.
Charles Cross, the guy who
Yes.
the Seahawks drafted
Wow.
top 10 from the Russell Wilson
Yep.
trade, was also a top 10er in that class. So, yeah, my man is 24. And he's going against guys like Deion Walker who are 20.
And to be honest,
And Kenneth Grant and Tyleek Williams and Landon Jack. TJ Sanders is in this defensive tackle class. Ormar Norman Lott out of Tennessee, who I love, gives me big Byron Murphy vibes. So I just think it's a smidge rich.
yeah, I don't mind that he's 24. Like I still would love to have him. Like he's big, he's
Converted
strong, he's
offensive
ready to
tackle, okay?
Yeah,
So like you see the rawness and you can buy the upside.
Yep. But it's just when you combine the age with the MAC, with the lack of production, like there's just too much for him to be top 40. If he's sitting there at the top of the 3rd round, I'm all in.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
top 40.
He's a nice Senior Bowl riser.
Totally. But when I watch the Mac tape, I see plenty of Mac guards handling him one-on-one. That's what scares me.
Can't have it.
Can't have it. Can't do it.
Can't win with him. Can't coach
You
him.
don't like MAC guards?
No, all in on Mac
Oh,
guards.
okay. We're
Obviously.
still all in. Okay.
Duh.
Just making sure.
Let's go to our next one, Kale. God, this is the best.
This is so good. What a great idea.
This is literally like, this is basically like just dudes sitting at the bar
It is.
naming players. That's
I
what this
love it.
pod is.
Yes.
It's
I love
the
it.
best. Armand Membao, 20-year-old as well.
Yep.
The best right tackle in the Southeastern Conference. Texas with Connor Williams. LSU with Emory Jones. We come into the season thinking those guys are the best right tackles. No, forget it. Big boy Membao took over that crown, and he has some flashes on tape that are truly exhilarating. I think it's the A&M or the South Carolina game Which, by the way, if you had to block
Both of
one
them.
of those
Yeah.
two defensive
Yeah,
lines, you
totally.
had your hands full. And there's like a point in the game where it's like, I'm not going to wait for these guys to come to me. I'm going to be the aggressor. And he just starts like stretching out his arms and upper body, and he like puts on a pancake clinic. He is getting, because of everything I just said, plenty of hype, and is seen by some as kind of a consensus like top 3 offensive linemen in this class and a top 20 lock. Are you buying or are you selling, my fine sirs?
I'm buying.
Oh, okay.
He reminds me of Zion Johnson from Boston College a few years ago, and I think the Chargers took him right around 20.
Great callback.
Great
callback.
Going to the Senior Bowl measurements,
that's
6'3" and
such a good
3/4, 332 pounds, but 33 and 1/8 arm. I've seen somewhere he got 34, but
No, we have one of those on our hands.
I've just.
Oh man.
I mean, look at right here. This one says 6'3", 332 with 34-inch arms, and then this one says 33, 1/8. So I
right.
really
trust
The,
the AI.
the listings
Never-
I have is 33 and an eighth.
Yeah. See,
Also, like, I don't know what the fix is, but how do we get it to where these arm measurements are consistent and not different from a Senior Bowl to the
Yeah.
combine? Because it's just like 2 scouts on a stage,
exactly,
like measuring
exactly,
these guys.
yes.
Need robots.
Do we need a scientist?
Or do we just need like
AI.
I don't trust AI. But can
Never
there just be
trust
some sort
AI.
of body scanner? Like what happened to like VR?
Sounds
or
like AI.
can
Yeah, it
one of
sounds
those-
like
just
AI.
not AI.
But yeah, you're right. Like, there's probably an app on your phone where you can just like
Yeah.
press it, and
I used
think
it. Super
I
Bowl
think,
media party.
I think for Empire Today to get the dimensions of the floors we needed
Yeah.
down in the Toyota Lounge, I think that's what we did.
Well, let's just measure the floors and then get the people to put their arms on the floor.
Zion Johnson's a great comp though.
Yeah,
because
I mean-
my only qualm is he's under 6'4" and he's under 34-inch arms. And I don't know that that's a tackle. Also, for a
I don't
gap
think it is.
C,
Exactly.
like everything we just talked about, I want my right tackle to be
Yep.
like big, not like, well, he's a little undersized.
That's a guard.
No thanks.
I think and again, like, didn't allow a single sack this year playing in the SEC. Impressive. And like, those are the best edge rushers that you can be going up against. I still just, I'm selling, by the way. Again, very good prospect, but top 20. Again, I think he's a guard and a good guard, but I just don't buy top 20.
But this is exactly what happened to Zion Johnson.
Yeah.
Played left tackle, I
Yep.
think, his entire career at Boston College. I think he moved around quite a bit, but I remember going into that draft, I was listening to Move the Sticks, and DJ talked to Tom Telesco, who was the GM of the Chargers at that point, and he was asking him about the Zion Johnson pick, and he said, we just wanted the best offensive lineman.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter which position, where they play, we just wanted the best offensive lineman. That's exactly who he reminds me of. I mean, he's got
Still
some
only 20.
nastiness to him. He's got some great hands. It's just the same questions that you had. It was just, I don't know if he has the size to play tackle.
Also, when we're talking 33 and an 1/8 inch versus 34 inch,
I mean, yeah.
like this much on your
That's
finger. And I get
exactly.
it historically has mattered. He's 20 years old. What are the odds his arms just have like one more little,
great
just a
point.
tiny bit, just the fingers just get a little bit longer.
I
He
do
used to
think
some pliability exercises.
one thing that probably should be talked about a little more is wingspan. And like a mammoth offensive tackle from Minnesota, Ariante Irsay, who does have 34-inch arms and is 6'5" and 3/4, almost 6'6". His wingspan 6'9" and an eighth. Membau's wingspan 6'9". Right? Like, especially if you're faster with your feet. I think that's yeah. Okay. That was a fun one. So you're buying.
I'm buying.
You're buying, Hank?
He's selling.
I'm selling top 20. Guard.
I think top 20 is a smidge rich.
Yep.
I think top 20 is just a smidge rich. Also, how this whole offensive tackle class lines up is going to be fascinating. Let's get to some skill players. I know that's what you guys are all waiting for.
They are.
Give it to me, Kale. Harold Fannin Jr., Bowling Green, not a top 5 tight end, buying or selling. He's a favorite of mine. And
Has been for a long time.
You were
has. Well,
early on him.
record breaker over here. I mean, one of the greatest tight ends in college football history, statistically speaking. Undersized, a handful in one-on-ones. But yeah, maybe not like a raw. Like I don't think he's going to run a 4.5.
No.
And yeah, it's a great tight end class, and the Colorado kids, Terrence Ferguson and Gunnar Helm, and everyone loves Elijah Arroyo after the Senior Bowl, and Mason Taylor's a favorite of ours, and then there's Loveland and Tyler Warren. So it's a top 5 to crack.
Yep.
Where are we at, guys?
The question is, he not a top 5 tight end, right?
Yes.
I'm selling that. He's definitely a top
Yep.
5 tight end.
Let's go.
I sell that he is not.
Let's go. Yeah, no, I agree. I think he's just
I think he's underrated as a blocker too.
too
honestly.
dynamic. Right. The more you watch the tape, the more it's like, oh no, he competes plenty.
Yeah.
Yep.
And yeah, isn't some pushover. Yeah, to where he's not just like a slot tight end. Also, I swear his size is not that far off what Brock Bowers was a year ago.
I would buy that.
Yeah. 6'3" and 1/8, 238 with 33-inch arms. 6'6" and 7/8 wingspan. No, we're buying it. He's too good. He's too good. And he's exactly a joker tight end.
100%.
I mean, to a T. And at worst, making him H-back, make him a fullback.
Yep.
Also, that Bama fullback.
I haven't watched him.
Oh, all in.
You're in the fullback section.
Yeah,
of the
I haven't
draft.
gotten to the fullbacks
Wow.
yet.
Neither have I.
No, hey, mind you, not a dynamic fullback. Like a meat and
Oh, wow.
potatoes, get in your face.
You're not
mask
throwing this guy the
fullback.
ball.
No, siree, Bob. That was a quick one, but shout out to our guy, Harold Fannin Jr. Can you bring up our next one for me, Kale? Yes, sir. This is a favorite of ours, Emeka Egbuka as a first rounder. Is that too easy?
I buy.
Should I have said top 20? Would that have been harder?
I would sell.
You would sell top 20,
I would sell
you
that.
would
I would
buy
buy
first
this.
round.
Like top 25, like top 30 might even be like the line. Because you look at it, it's like, oh, could the Chiefs just be like trying to add another at 31? Like I think he's a good player. He's very well rounded.
He is.
And I think that sometimes that can work against him because it's so easy to say like, oh, Tedro McMillan, so big. Or like Luther Burden, so fast. Where it's like Emeka Egbuka kind of just checks every box and does everything well. And
Tell him.
but there is just
Can
maybe just
play
a-
out the slot. He blocks
Exactly,
well.
exactly.
Good hands.
And
Good
honestly,
athlete.
like there are plenty of catches that you would see like on a highlight reel and be like, he does play some like sexy football too. But there he just all of it just kind of runs together and you're just like, yeah, he's good. He's not anything special though. Feels like there's one of these guys every year.
Yeah, and they're usually turn into Cooper Kupp and Justin
Exactly,
Jefferson.
exactly,
and,
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm buying. Just look at the draft order. Houston picks at 25, but
Reuniting him with Stroud would be highway robbery.
yeah, we don't know what Diggs is going to do. The Rams pick the pick after that. They're just losing Cooper Kupp. The Ravens need wide receivers there after that. Detroit might be fine. Washington could probably use a receiver. Buffalo,
Yeah.
Kansas City. Yeah.
I love this kid. I think
He's
he
great.
is a set and forget first round grade on my board. I have him 9th.
9th overall.
Yeah, I just
Wide
think
receiver 1?
I
After
just
Travis?
Well, wide receiver 3 after
T-Mac?
T-Mac and Travis. Yep.
I love that.
He just it's like the edge rushers who can do everything.
Yep.
It's the wide receivers who have size and can play out the slot and are smart and have multiple years of production.
Ball skills.
In a high-end conference. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to buy that most of the time. And yeah, I think you get out of the top 20, he becomes a steal. And he's ranked 9th. So if he were to drop in the Broncos' lap,
I mean, that's
I would
another
get
part of
him
my
away.
point. I mean, we're talking about the Broncos drafting him at 20. He's going to be a first round player.
100%.
Yep.
100%. Let's bring up the next one. We're talking another wide receiver, and then I've got a back I want to get into.
Mm.
Who did you have next, Trace?
Matt Golden. Buy or sell Matthew Golden. And, we've talked about this. Like, there's prospect fatigue, and then there's the opposite.
I was just thinking about this morning.
Yeah. we're aligned.
Crazy.
brother. And yeah, Matt Golden has all the hype. Everyone loves him. I think we I think one of you comped him to Tyreek Hill a couple episodes ago.
I said if he runs really well, he will get some Tyreek Hill comps.
Which it's not
Like,
great.
really, really
Like,
well.
I see it.
Like if he has to like get 4.29 or something.
Is he wide receiver 4 in this class?
I love Luther Burden, but I'm going to buy this for sure. I think he is wide receiver 4.
Dang.
You know, big last year, obviously, coming from, I think, Houston was his last school.
That's right.
And ended up being the best receiver for Texas. He outplayed Bond easily. I know Bond was probably dealing with some stuff, but Matthew Golden impressed me down the stretch. He was probably the most impressive player in the college football playoff, in my opinion, maybe outside of a running back who we're going to talk about here shortly. But yeah, man, he's got one of the best separators in this class.
Yep.
Bar none. He just creates space between him and defensive backs.
That's why it feels like there's almost like 2 ways to win with him. And one is that he's just like a slot receiver. And like you just get him open underneath. Also, if he looks super fast on tape. And I want to see how he runs. And if he really does fly like that, then all of a sudden it's like, wait, is he Deshaun Jackson or is he, not Wes Welker, because he's certainly more athletic than that. But I almost think that you could do just about anything with him. You worry a little bit about the size, though.
Slot experience.
Yep.
Return experience. Yep. I like that stuff a lot. Yeah, I like LB3 too. I think this guy's better. I think this guy's better.
He had a rough year.
He did.
Yep.
And I mean, I was watching Membao against Jalen Walker from 23 because, ball is life.
Ball is life.
And yeah, no, that Georgia secondary kind of ate him up. Matt Golden instead. Yeah, he showed up in those games.
Great catching the football, too.
Yeah, no,
Like
really good extending away
Yes.
from his body, natural hands, yak ability, the whole thing.
Yep.
Give me the next one, TreVeyon Henderson. This one's juicy. I saw a great tweet a day ago or so that said, Ashton Genty and TreVeyon Henderson are this year's Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs.
Ooh, I love that. What a tweet.
Really do.
And so I apologize for not crediting the genius who put that brilliant opinion out. Are you guys ready to call him RB2 in this class? A loaded running back class. I mean, he wasn't RB1 on that Ohio State team, really, which is also part of where the Gibbs comp comes in, right? Like a bit of how Gibbs was utilized at Bama was part of why we slept on him a little bit, I think. This guy went off in the playoffs. Just a beast. The long speed's really impressive. In the fact that he's complete, he can do some other stuff. Like he's good in pass pro and stuff, You guys mind that though? RB2 is a lofty praise in this class of loaded running backs.
I'm buying.
Me too.
I didn't expect to buy, but I decided I am buying. Because O'Marion Hampton, for example, because he would be my number 3, which I would imagine is kind of consensus. Big, fast, strong. Also, doesn't hit home runs, which and then you think that sounds crazy, but then you go back and watch it. It's a lot of like triples and doubles, but he gets like 40 yards downfield and then somebody catches him, and that's what separates Henderson
to Joe
to
Mixon.
Me. Yeah, there you go. With TreVeyon Henderson though, he gets space and he's gone. Like if there is that window, if there is that crease, he will hit home runs for you. And I feel like maybe I'm just looking for that a little bit too much because the Broncos totally
right,
bro.
But like you watch a Jahmyr Gibbs, you watch a Saquon, it's that same thing where it's like you give him the crease, he's gone.
Yep.
Well, and I think the Broncos just haven't had that in a decade.
If you ask me who reminds you most of Alvin Kamara in this class, it's probably TreVeyon Henderson.
Yeah.
Rashard Smith probably reminds me most of Reggie Bush, but shout out Rashard, legend.
I'm absolutely buying this. I love TreVeyon Henderson.
Yeah.
People forget how good he was as a true freshman, and then he had a pretty catastrophic injury, I think, going into his sophomore year, because that's when the hype died. If that injury doesn't happen, we're potentially talking about him, in this first round. I'm not going to say maybe Genty range, but like tail end of the first round. He's great. 77 career receptions. He averages like 6.9 yards per touch in the receiving and rushing game. 48 career touchdowns. This guy's a home run hitter. Absolutely.
Yep.
And played his best against his best competition. I mean, went off in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And has size. Like usually the speed guys don't have size. What's he listed out there?
CFB ref has it at 5'10", 210.
Plenty.
For a speedster like that?
Yep.
No.
Just so shifty.
All
The
in.
cutbacks on the
All in.
That screen in the Natty, I mean, yeah, you're right,
Right,
absolutely right.
exactly.
We haven't had that in
Exactly.
so long. We
Yeah.
need it.
Oregon, he just tore him a new one. I lean on you for this one because we were definitely Tyler Shuck early adapters. The hype is real.
The hype
is real. Buying or selling him as a day 2 pick, my friends.
Go ahead, Hank.
I have to sell. I just can't buy that. But I do wonder if I'm going to regret that. I mean, he has everything, right? Like he's big, he's strong, he's fast, he's an athlete.
Yeah.
When did we see him first? That would have been the Texas.
Oregon.
2019
yes.
Oregon.
And then he went to a
2019 Oregon.
He was the patch.
So
He backed up Justin Herbert.
We're
He was
giving
the patch
Darius
between the
Alexander shit for being a 2019 recruit. This dude was starting at Oregon in 19.
His first
No,
season
that
in
can't
college
be
football
right.
was 2018.
yeah.
Yes.
No, he was the
He's
dude
been in our life
yeah.
so long.
Between
I know.
Herbert and Bo.
I literally forgot about him.
Of course. I used to like him.
Yeah, me too.
I thought he was like a frisky pick
Me-
4
yeah.
years ago.
No, he was fun. But again, and then he finally figured things out a little bit this year with actual production, as you probably should in your 7th year of playing college
Right,
football.
right.
We said the same
Right.
thing about Bo last year,
True,
though, bro.
true.
It's
But I
true,
mean, he
it's
is, like, what was he listed at? 6'5", 225.
Yep.
He can run. He's
He's
got a
athletic.
cannon.
He's
like,
got a good arm.
I'm selling day 2 pick because I just can't do that. I'm not going to blame anybody who buys it though. And if the Broncos wind up taking a fly, like if somehow he's still there in like the 6th round, sure, yeah, go make that your backup quarterback.
I mean, I'm taking him over Jalen Milrow. I'm
Oh,
taking him
wow.
over Dylan
Okay.
Gabriel.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
I'm probably taking him over Quinn Ewers. So I'm buying.
Are you?
day 2. Maybe I'm just burned a little bit by the fact that we just didn't have day 2 quarterbacks.
I'm just
last
going to
year.
try and learn my lesson from Bo Nix, honestly.
Okay.
When these quarterbacks play a long time, they are going to get better.
I know.
That's how you get better at the position. You get reps. He's had plenty of reps. Someone's going to see that. At worst, he's going to be in the league through his rookie contract, if not longer, because he's just played so much football.
He gives me big EJ Manuel, Daniel Jones vibes, like guys who
First round picks.
Yes, first top 15 picks.
Top 5.
Like guys who DJ crazy. Who really rose up post Senior Bowl and put it all together. Yes, Jose, the Javonte Williams comp for Marion Hampton is I may have Kale block you after throwing that one out.
People forget
that's a
Javonte.
bad one. That's a
Javonte
bad
was
one.
like shifty and bursty.
yes.
Like he would also run people, but
He was
like
a big speed back. He was very
Exactly.
like Caleb Johnson-y.
he beat as many tackles with like jukes as he did like stiff arms or like
He
running
was
guys
so
over.
electric at
Yes.
UNC. He's such a different player now. It hurts me to say, and it hurts to
Yeah.
see it because he
Yeah.
literally was one of my favorite players in that class, and I could not have been more excited when they drafted him.
Yep.
I mean, Caleb Johnson's a much better like Javonte comp. Like UNC's
Yeah.
Javonte.
Yeah.
He's bigger though, isn't he?
He is bigger. He's still
Javonte or
bigger.
Caleb?
Caleb.
Well, he's at least
I think
he's
they're
taller.
actually about the same size.
Like these guys have like 3 inches though. I would think.
Pause.
Yeah, okay. There we go. There's a good pause. Because that's the thing with like, because it was always like the thunder and lightning thing, and everybody. There was a time when we weren't sure if Javonte would be your thunder or your lightning. Like he had just as much lightning as he had thunder back.
Bro,
in
he
the
caught
day.
so many
He was
passes
like a
out of the
third down,
backfield.
third down guy.
100%. 100%. Mac knew how to use them too. That's a great one, fellas.
Wow, we really roasted Jose.
That's a great one.
Love you, Jose.
I love Jose.
I wasn't
you're the
roasting
best.
Jose. I was just
the best.
reminiscing on my love for
Javonte
Javonte
was
coming out of
never-
UNC.
People forget how fast he
Never
was. Like he was
leave the
not just a
Toyota
power
chat.
guy.
Oh,
please.
he was so
He was-
good.
yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%.
He was a get him in space guy.
You guys were great. Leave us a thumbs up, please. We are going to start wrapping this.
Aw.
If we go over, check out the website where you can always find our show streaming, thednvr.com. Hankster, Schwanman, true pleasure. I
Yes.
really appreciate
Highlights
it.
of my week constantly this show.
The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Sorbo brought it like nobody before or ever. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back next week with more bangers like this one. Until then, bye.
We all silly like the mayor.